Welcome to the Mixtape Lounge, Kerry Stinson.
Josh Martin, what's up?
Hey, what's happening, brother? How are you?
Oh my goodness, I am great. How are you?
I'm good, and I know why you're great, and I know why you have a big
Yeah,
smile on your face, and I got a big smile on
yeah.
my face. So we're just not going to mess around this week. We're going to jump right to it. We got a surprise guest, a great guest, someone we just love, and are so excited to have on. So we're just going to bring him on right now.
The only way to do it.
It
Ladies and
is.
gentlemen, Mr. Steven Anderson, aka
The Creech.
That's right. Oh my goodness. Welcome.
How are you? Again.
Fantastic. Yeah, how are you?
Oh, Creech, so good to see you.
It never gets any better, man. It stays the same.
There you go. Oh, ladies and
Well, you
gentlemen.
guys left. I had to check the generator one more time to make sure we had plenty of power.
That's right. For those of you who don't know, this man is Steven Anderson, aka the Creature, aka Creech. He is mine and Carrie's good friend from the road way back in '96 through '99, and man, his resume is a mile and a half long at least, and he's a great guy. So happy to have him here. Thank you, Creech.
Well,
Nice to be here.
and a great photographer, which I can't wait to talk about those pictures that we see behind you, Creech.
Okay.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite
I've got
things.
a print of Creech's.
Huh?
Yeah.
You
I've got
have
a
one.
print of Creech's as well. Yeah, I do.
Right.
It's the, I forget. It was like not
It's a
an
flamingo
anemone.
tongue.
Thank you.
Taken in the Bahamas at a place called the Sugar Wreck.
Wow.
Okay.
It's, yeah, it's a pretty cool place. Pretty cool place.
I'll include a picture here in the link there, Gary. I'll send you a picture of it.
Yeah. Right on.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
And both of you guys are in Dallas right now. Is that right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Dallas Fort Worth area. Yes.
Yeah, we
close
moved over to the
Fort
Fort
Worth
Worth
now,
area.
actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of concrete in Dallas now.
A lot.
Right. I think, well, what is it? The last time I was in Dallas, I had a client out, Luke Combs. And Luke Combs played at the Jerry Jones' house, right?
Yeah, my wife was there. My wife and son were there.
Okay, cool. Yeah. That's a big place, man.
Right?
I put on some miles on my feet there. But great place, great people there, and it's a great show. So
when you're going out to that and talk about what you're doing these days, are you just checking to make sure everything's right, or what?
I check in, make sure. When I was touring, I saw that it was really important. The most important part of the whole gig is customer service. If you don't have, that's what sets you apart from everything else. You can have the best lights, you can have the newest lights, and you can have the shittiest people pushing it, and you're nothing. But if you have good customer service and you have all those other things as well, you're in the pocket. So customer service is a real important thing, and that's what I pride myself on. So when I go out to visit those places, these gigs, I make sure that everybody's happy. If there's anything anybody needs, and I'm constantly asking people, "Are you okay? Everything good? Is there anything I can do for you?" Because that is the key to success, is customer service. And I hold a high bar against other, like, for instance, and everybody's got to hold a high bar. AT&T or Xfinity or Comcast, whatever. I hold a high bar to those people because I'm paying them money. And I expect good customer service. If you can't give me good customer service, your company's crap. So I go out and I visit those. I visit the guys. I'm still a crew guy at heart. And I take care, I make sure, I always tell my guys, listen, even if you're wrong, I got your back. We'll figure it out. But I have all the crew guys at heart. So So I go out and visit them, and I tried. Most of them I make it out to. Some of them are, it depends on what kind of a budget there is. If there's a budget to travel or so forth, so on. But most of them, there's a budget, and you find a way. So
Now,
yeah.
how did you get into being a crew in the beginning? How did you get on the road
Being
line?
at the wrong place at the wrong time. I've done a few podcasts, and people have asked me that. And I started out as a stagehand in Dallas. This guy called me up, and and I had some interest in music to begin with. And he called me up. He says, "Hey, man, you want to make some extra money this weekend?" I go, "Yeah, I could do that." So he said, "Well, we got a gig over at this place. It's no longer there, the Winter Garden, which was out off of Northwest Highway, kind of out towards Mesquite area." And so I went out there and I worked, and I was like, "Holy man, I made $100 for working 4 hours, 5 hours." I'm like, "This is cool." So I kept doing that, and of course I asked questions, and I got more involved in working as a stagehand in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And eventually I got to the point where that wasn't enough, and I wanted to go on the road. This looked like it was a lot of fun. So I reached out to a couple people, and of course I got hired. And the very first big tour that I went out on was Motley Crue. Theater Pain. This would have been 1985. Probably could have been the end of my career. There was so much shit going on out there. Those are the days, man. That's where shit, you could do just about anything and get away with it, except for killing a guy. So I kept at it, and I went from Motley Crue to Metallica, where they couldn't even get arrested because they couldn't sell any tickets. Right? There were nothing at that point. They were just another band. And then I ended up doing Scorpions, and in between the Metallica, I was doing Julio Iglesias, and that was kind of a complete opposite. And I just kept at it, and I got that brought me to Barney. Eventually, on down the line, I worked for a company called Very Light, which was in Nashville or Dallas and in Nashville. And then of course, I ended up on Backstreet Boys, and during the Backstreet Boys, I went up to the owner of the company, where I still remember it. We were at the Meadowlands in New Jersey, and I said, "Hey, I think I'd like to come work for your company." And he said, "Come on." And of course, he sent the moving trucks, and 2002, I actually moved here to Nashville, and I've been here since. So,
wow.
Yeah.
What were you doing on the road when you started out? Were you a lighting guy?
I was just a lighting guy, just a crappy old lighting guy.
Okay. And did you
I
have
was a
any
nobody,
background in lighting?
Huh?
Did you have any background in lighting, or did you learn on the job?
When growing up, when I was a kid, my mom and dad were in the repertory theater. So I would go and spend some time on the weekends. And back then, Josh, they had floodlights that you would put in your front yard, and they would put an empty coffee can with the bottom cut out and put that on the end of the floodlight, and it would make like a snoot for the light, which would make a definite beam, and that's what they did for lighting. All held together with extension cords and shit running everywhere. There was a homemade lighting board and all that.
Yeah.
But I got into all that stuff that was where
I started. I gotcha. Now, fast forward to Barney.
Yes.
You've been on Metallica, Motley Crue, Julio Iglesias, and were you working for Jake Berry, the producer of Barney?
I worked
the Barney
for
tour
Jake
at the time, or how did that happen?
No, well, the first time I ever worked for Jake, I went back out on Metallica, and I believe it was 1991.
Okay.
And Jake was the production manager, and that was back in the days. Jake was party animal like the rest of us, right? And
Right
of
on.
course now he's nowhere like that anymore. But
Sure.
so that's where I got connected with Jake for the
Connected with
first
you.
time. And
Okay.
then I worked for Very Light, and I
Right.
worked. Wayne Banning was my boss at a company
remember
called
Wayne.
CPL, and so VLPS was all kind of one thing, and that's how
Uh-huh.
I got hooked on to the Barney thing. And of course,
Okay.
who's out there? Jake Berry. Jake Berry's manning the whole thing, and I'll never forget, guys, that first loadout in Fort Worth,
Uh-huh.
and the
Uh-huh.
treehouse was made out of wood. It was nobody ever thought about how that thing would come apart, how it would store, and how it would move from city to city. Of course, Jake
Right.
was pulling his hair out. I'll never forget that, man. Then they figured it out. Eventually it was made out of aluminum, and it rolled like, just like a
Yeah.
wheelbarrow right onto the stage and right off the stage. But yeah, so that's how I ended up with that. I was working for Very Light at the time.
Okay.
And
What
I
did you
just
think when
finished
you
Bob
heard?
Seger. What's that?
I'm sorry.
I had just finished Bob Seger when I started Barney.
Okay. And then what was your first thought when you got the call or you got the message? Who let you know that, hey, Creech, you're going out on Barney?
I think that was probably Wayne told me. I had no idea Jake was out there until I got out there, right? And then
Okay.
of course that's where I met Fitz. May the Fitz be with you.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was yeah. And I still talk to Fitz quite a bit, and
Say hello.
I will, man.
Please.
I worked with
Yeah.
him recently on Heart. He was
Okay.
programming Heart, so he was in that he
Nice.
was in Nashville at our shop, so that
Okay.
was good stuff.
All right.
Well, and that was a crazy experience because on our side, the cat side, most of us had never done a tour before.
Nope. It was kind of new for everybody, really. I think it was the first time a rock and roll bunch of guys had ever gotten involved in doing something like that. That was like that was the cusp of you had everything that tailed off of that, right? The Wiggles came off of that, and Barney, and of course you had like Disney on Ice, and you had the was the Sesame Street stuff, but nothing like this. This was crazy.
No, nothing like this.
I had fun.
Right.
Well, talk about the kids in the audience. Had you seen something like that? That many kids, that loud?
No, I hadn't. And it was crazy. It was nice. It was fun. It was fun to see the little kids' faces. They were all like, and I remember, of course, my daughter at the time was 3. And that was the coolest thing for her. She was at every show that she came to. She was at every meet and greet. Josh even phoned her on her birthday and did the whole Barney voice because Josh has got that down pat. And, oh man, she was over
I
She
remember
still talks about that today.
Does she? Tell her hello.
Yeah, she does. She bless her heart, she's getting married October 8th.
Oh wow.
Oh my God. So I planned to mention some of that if I'm asked to give a speech. That's coming out. I'm gonna embarrass you.
Oh
I'm pretty good at that stuff.
Yes,
I bet.
If you can't embarrass yourself, embarrass somebody else.
Right?
Creech,
Yeah.
I'm dying to know how long have you been doing photography?
Well, when I was 15, my dad said, when you turn 15, we're going to go get certified. I went, okay. And so we started diving. I grew up in Florida, and we dove like every weekend, right? So that was a normal thing, being by the ocean. So I remember he bought an Instamatic camera, and he bought this plastic heavy-duty plexiglass housing. And I still have the very, very, very first picture I ever took underwater was of my dad in our backyard swimming pool. I still have the picture. And from that point on, I just I got in, I was into it for a while. And of course, when I moved from Miami to Dallas, my mom, she laughed. She says, I threw all your shit in the middle of this day. Like I had umpteen thousand trading cards, baseball, football, all that stuff as a kid. She says, I threw all that stuff into Biscayne Bay. All your dive gear we threw into Biscayne Bay. No more. We don't need any more. You're moving dry land. You're moving to Texas. So fast forward, I moved once I moved here, I got married eventually. And I told my wife, I said, if you go get certified, we'll go on a nice diving trip. So she did. And I went and rented an underwater housing for my camera. And I took some pictures, and that was back when you took 24 or 36 pictures, and that was it.
Right.
I started looking at them, and I'm like, these are crap. And this guy came over one day, and he goes, man, you need to get into Photoshop. Put that in Photoshop, it's going to pop. And I did. So eventually, as I started diving more and more and more, I got better cameras, and to the point where I am now. So
amazing.
You obviously have no problem getting close to sharks and all kinds of things.
Well, I walk around on land with a bunch of sharks. Why not in the water, right?
Oh my gosh.
I went and saw Jaws when I was a kid, and that was a bunch of bullshit. Sharks are not man eaters. They're not out there in the water looking for us. And I like to talk to them when I'm underwater to get them closer. And the guy, Jim Abernathy, down in Florida, taught me a long time ago. He said, you want to get an award-winning shot, get as close as you can get. The closer, the better. And as a photographer, you'll notice, Carrie, that when you get closer, you start getting rid of some of the chance. Like for me, underwater, the closer I am, the less backscatter there is.
Right.
The more light you have, because your subject's right there. Well, it's the same thing. So I like getting close, and I call them in. I'll talk to these big tiger sharks. Most of them are females, so it's a hey, kitty, 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 and they come right on in, man. And they're smart. They're real smart. They know that. I've never felt worried or scared about one of them coming in and even maybe taking a bite or anything like that. They've nipped, but sharks don't have hands, toes, and fingers like we do. And when they touch something, it's with their mouth. And when they touch it and they go, hey, wait a minute, this isn't what I'm supposed to be chewing on, they drop it. So you'll never hear about a diver being attacked by a shark.
Well, and I'm guessing if you're calm too, that's a big part of it, right?
Always stay focused. I say that when you get in the water with sharks, when you're in the water, you don't want to ever stop thinking about sharks. It's sharks. Keep your eyes out, right? And if they sense fear, they sense fear and they sense panic. And when you're flapping around in the water, you're simulating what a dead fish would do. And sharks eat the dead, the dying, and diseased. So you're acting like a dying fish. So that's what they bite. When you're jumping around in the shore at the beach, they hear that vibration and it simulates the same thing as a dying fish. Because that's what a dying fish does. He flops around.
That's fascinating.
Wow. There it is.
Do you have a favorite shot you've taken?
Oh shit. No, not really. I got so many of them. I got enough shark photos to post for the rest of my life. A daily, and I do that on Facebook, and I try to do it on Instagram. Instagram's a little bit tougher for me because I add in all these tags. Facebook, I just come up with I say something and I post it. But I got enough I don't really have a favorite. They're all favorites.
But there's not like a moment with a bigger shark that you didn't expect, or
I
Ray
mean, I've
or
done the
something.
great whites. Great whites was pretty cool.
Mm.
I was able to take the kids with me to do that, and they were pretty big. Those were some big sharks.
How about a location that you've
The Bahamas,
dove
hands
at?
down. Bahamas, there
Done.
are more sharks in the Bahamas than anywhere else in the world. I
Gotcha.
mean, in one location. And they're
Right.
protected over there, and the sharks seem to know that. I
Huh.
think they're so smart, but they seem
Okay.
to know that they're protected. Well,
Interesting.
Go back a second to the great white. Did that
Yeah. Huh?
experience?
that was well, first off, getting there, it was a 20-hour boat ride out in the Pacific
Huh.
Ocean.
From where?
We left, so we flew to San Diego, got on a bus. The bus had a great white shark painted on the side of it, decaled on the side
No
of it.
way. No
And
way.
so we went from there to we went down to what the heck is the name of that place? It was down in the Baja. I don't remember the name of the city. Anyway,
Okay.
we got down there,
Sure.
got on this big boat, it's a 100-foot boat, and went out across the Pacific Ocean with a bunch of other people.
Got it. All right.
And it was a long boat ride. Got there, and as soon as we put the cages in the water, the sharks were there. Great whites. It was awesome. But it's called Guadalupe Island. It's now closed because people were, they thought, the Mexican government thought that people were getting a little too close and not respecting the sharks' space.
Mm.
So it's all right.
Unfortunately.
Hey,
Go somewhere else.
Yeah, go somewhere else.
The other places.
Africa. That's a long way to go, man.
Well, I bet you've been to. Have you been to Africa? Have you toured in Africa?
I've
No?
not
Okay.
never been to Africa
Okay.
at all. Now,
Okay.
my daughter, who's getting married on the 8th, they're going to Africa for their honeymoon, and I'm going to give her one of my GoPros. She's going to go do a cage dive down there. Those are big sharks down there. So
Okay.
yeah.
Does she do photography and
No.
dive?
Nope.
No.
She's just going to go. When you're diving with great whites, you're in a cage, and there's surface supplied air, so you
Got
don't
it.
have to worry about scuba diving or anything like that.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Just the sharks.
Just the sharks. And no, you're not the bait.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's good times.
Wow.
Hey, so Creech, we're gonna talk about the road a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because Josh and I've talked about this a lot. We've never seen anything like what you guys and girls would do. The
Right.
professionalism, putting up a show like that. I mean, what goes all into that? Putting a show up as quick as you guys do and tearing it down and being safe and all the aspects of it.
Well, it starts out, the production manager, the artist hires a line designer. Line designer comes up with a drawing. The production manager sends it out to bid. Everybody bids on it. The winner gets to continue on. And we do drawings. We refine the drawings. We add channel numbers, that kind of thing. And then the next thing we do is start building it and hire crew. There's a lot that goes into it, a lot of shit that people, like you say, don't have any idea goes on.
Hey, listen, it's so crazy that you mentioned Motley Crue as your first show. Because when I got on the Barney tour,
right,
and after I figured out that I kind of had my stuff going on, one night, I don't know if you remember this, I told this story, I was sitting in the arena watching all you guys work.
right.
And I thought to myself, dude, this is now a slow motion Motley Crue video. Right? You remember they would show the empty arena.
Yeah.
A time lapse, it load in, do the concert and the song, time lapse, load out, empty arena, right? And I was looking, I was like, Oh, this is
What's
that,
going
but in
on?
slow motion. And I tell him, I think it was you that was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was watching. Should I not be here?" And you said it'd be better if you were down here helping. And so I did. And so I wanted, and I got even more respect for what you guys
Oh yeah.
do. And I hope it showed. But what did you think when the little punk kid jumped over the rail and started
I love it.
doing
I
stuff?
love it.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any
Right
better
on.
when to have the guys wearing that purple suit down there helping you out. Are you kidding me? Hey, look, he
Badass.
knows how to coil a cable.
I learned from the best.
I love it.
Yeah,
Oh, those
definitely.
are good times, man.
Is it a challenge? I mean, you try to you've got all these shows and they all
Yeah.
to make sure they look different and to do something new. And I mean,
Yeah, that's not, I'll tell you, well, that making it look different is not really my job.
okay,
That's a line designer's job, right? From,
right,
from year to year, or, you know, does the artist does he have a concept that we want to follow? That kind of thing. That's, so that kind of determines the look. And sometimes, you know, why change? There's a
right,
lot of them, you know. We did that Barney show. We did it for over a year, the same show,
right.
right? So sometimes if it's doing well, don't change. It's like they say, you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right.
So,
Have
but
you?
go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, have you worked with an artist in the past that either was super difficult, and you don't have to name them specifically, but the situation where they were like, "No, I want it this way," and either you had to cave in or you convinced them that no,
There's a
that's not going
couple
to
of
work.
them, and I don't mind naming them because if I ever were to write a book, I just got to find somebody to write it, right? Sit down,
Okay.
let me get up, and I'll start telling some good stories. But there's two that I can tell you right now. One was
The Mixtape Lounge, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah, this is it, man. You're gonna get it right now.
Strap
You're
in.
hearing it live. Jethro Tull,
Preacher.
Ian Anderson.
Okay.
Opening show was in Florida, some gig down in Miami, over on Miami Beach, and the video company had forgotten to send some part that we needed, and that all made its way to Ian Anderson, and Ian Anderson, during sound check in the afternoon around 3 o'clock, calls me out onto the stage in front of everybody, in front of the whole band. And he says, "Why is this not working?" And I explained to him. And he looked at me, he goes, "So is this going to work?" I go, "In my professional opinion, yes, it will. We just need to get this part, and the part is on its way." And he looked at me and he said, "If that part doesn't show up, if that part shows up and it doesn't work, I'm going to have you and your company refund all the money for the tickets that my fans have purchased for tonight's show." I go, "That's fine." So sure enough, went on, they finished their sound check. The part showed up, plugged it in, everything worked 100%. It all worked during the show. And midway through the show, I get a message from the production manager. "Ian wants to see you in his dressing room after the show." And I went in there and he apologized to me for all that.
Wow.
So that's one.
Nice.
The other one's Steven
Yeah.
Tyler with Aerosmith. And this is a great one. He was a handful. And we were playing a gig, Fiddler's Green, which is in Colorado. And he decided he had these blow-up dolls. He wanted these blow-up dolls and trash cans out on the outside edges of the stage. And he wanted the blow-up doll's legs sticking out of the trash cans with smoke bellowing out of them. I'm like, holy. So I get called to the production office and then to his dressing room. And he hands me these blow-up dolls, and his, you can just imagine his voice saying, "I want these in the trash can." But he's telling me the whole thing. I'm like, holy. So I went and got the runner, and I said, I need you to go out and get me 2 galvanized trash cans. The runner's like looking at me like I'm on glue. And I said, I need brown paint, green paint, some black paint, a little bit of white, and I need a hole saw blade or a hole saw bit, right? I was like, and I need some dryer hose. We had the smoke machines already on site. We were touring with them. So the runner comes back and he sets the trash cans up on the edge of the loading dock. This is an outdoor venue. I kicked him off, and the runner's like going, what the man? I just put those up there. I go, oh, we're going to beat them up, dude. We're going to make them all beat up and camouflage them. Sure enough, get that all done up. The guys were out there painting. They're having fun. They're like doing graffiti. That's probably what they do in their part-time, you know? So they're painting these trash cans up. Get the hole saw and drill the hole in the sides for the vent fan with dryer hose, right? Hook them up to the smoke machines. It all works, right? Show goes down, everything's on, everything works. We've got these ladies' legs sticking out of the trash cans, smoke bellowing out of the trash cans. After the next day, we were had them all set up again. He comes out and he goes, those things are out of here. I'm like, man, we just spent all that money yesterday doing that. Now they're gone. What the Those are some of the, so yeah.
No,
those two that's 2 that I can pick off right straight away that are like, oh my God.
Oh, those are amazing.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow. Oh,
I just need somebody to write this book that they can embellish it a bit, but I mean, some of this
I have a feeling this is only part 1.
This is only part 1.
This is only part 1 of our show.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me
Good,
on.
man.
Dude,
thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on. It's been fun.
As you say, you're double grade A badass.
Badass.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all for
Thank you
watching
so much.
Mixtape Lounge. I don't know if we'll be able to do another episode that'll compete with this.
Yeah, you will. I'm gonna come back on and tell some good stories one of these days.
Can't wait for that.
You heard him.
Exactly.
You heard him.
We'll see you
Right
next
on.
week.
Excellent, guys. Take care. Have a good weekend, and we'll speak soon.
Absolutely.
You know it. Thanks,
right.
Creech.
All right. Bye-bye.
Later.